tutorial 3. And when I say tutorial, it's just the way I do this. I'm going to do a lidded box with that chunk of wood there. Now, to keep things simple, we're not going to get into too much detail in terms of well, drilling things out and so on and so forth. We're basically just going to make a box out of this, and of course you got to get your head around the fact that the box is a cylinder still. When you tell somebody who doesn't turn that you're making a box, they find it a bit odd. Call it a pot. Pots can be round. Anyway, so we're going to use this bit of wood. We might not use that full length, that's quite deep. But we have a choice to make. And the choice is in terms of the lid. Because if you take these as being the bases, and then these as being the lids, you have a choice. You can either have what I call a tenon lid. There's the tenon. So that tenon fits snug into that gap there. Or you can have a mortise lid, and there is the mortise, and that fits nice and snug over the top, like lip of the box. I'm sure that's got a name, no idea. But tenon lid, mortise lid. The third type you can have is like this, where you have the piece of wood just going straight in into a kind of mortise here, and it's got the little step there to stop the lid falling all the way to the bottom. Pros and cons. Well, I prefer these ones, number one. But in order to get your tenon to match with the box width, because you're always going to turn the lid first, you've got to keep adjusting that hollowing so that it fits this. Now that's harder than this type number 2. Because if we've already made that, and we've got this bit spinning on the lathe, we've just got to come in from that angle to keep cutting away until we're left with enough that fits perfectly into this mortise. And approaching the lathe this way on to make that cut and really, fine tune that cut so it fits is easier than that one. This one I would say is similar in difficulty to that one, but I just don't like them ones. Finishing off the top, yeah, it can be quite nice, but this one, finishing it off is nice. You put the lid on the job and you can finish this whole edge so that these nicely line up, and you can match grain as much as you can. So what we're going to do, and the order is this, you do it kind of, you feel like you're doing it back to front or from the bottom up. We're going to turn this to round, and then we're going to turn the bottom. Now the bottom is going to have its own mortise. A mortise that will hold it into a chuck. So once we've turned the bottom and put that on the chuck, we'll then cut off the bit of wood. So imagine this is held on the lathe in the chuck there. We'll then cut this off, and then that bit will become the lid, and this will become the base. But then we need to work on that lid. We need to be able to put that on the chuck as well. We need to be able to turn it around so that we can cut this mortise into it. So what we do is we put a tenon on here, So cut this away, that will hold in our chuck. So we'll be able to spin it round, and then we'll be able to cut in the mortise here. Okay, and then once that's cut, decide how big that is. Once that's cut in, we're going to take that off the lathe and start working on this. And because we've already cut the base in here, we're going to put it on the lathe. Okay, that's the idea. So what have I done to this bit of wood? Marked the centres. I'm going to put it between points, and we'll get it to round and do other bits and pieces. Alright. I've got the wrong jaws in here, so I'm going to quickly swap them out. Of course, the jaws are numbered. Why are they numbered, you see? Well, that's so that they match, they all close at the same time on the thread that's behind these things. What's that? That's number 1. That's number 4. Number 1. Okay. Put my step center in. It's good, it just holds inside the truck there, and that's on a spring, helps you reposition the work, and then when you tighten it up, obviously those teeth dig in. The only reason I'm going to put it between centres is to put a quick tenon on this. And the quick tenon is the one that's going to be that lid. So I'm going to put a quick tenon on there, and I'm going to turn it around and hold it in the chuck so I can do the base. And then I'm going to flip it back around, and we'll still have that tenon. So I'll put that tenon in first. Just going to get the centre punch here. I like to have a little dimple in there. Go. So for this, yeah, you do need a chuck, and you need a live centre in your tailstock. I'm going to use that, which a lot of people have. Any live centre would work for this, and you can watch tons of videos on this, but I used to always wonder why people were doing certain steps. And I'm going to try and tell you. So this step is purely to get that to be held in there. Now this will open up to a certain amount, and you bring that down so that I know it'll fit in. Now what I think I'm going to do first, I'm going to round the whole thing off so it's not bouncing about. So tighten it up, everything's secure, it spins. Just your normal rough and gouge. Now you can have this on slow speed if you want. It's very bumpy. So that's about half speed in my lathe. So we've got it roundish, and we're going to turn this down to create a tenon to fit into this chuck. So a tenon's just going to be in the compression, the jaw's going to squeeze down on it. First of all, I'm going to true up the bottom because it doesn't look absolutely perfect. Now the tool I'm going to use is lost. Oh, where is it? Seriously. Okay. Now this is what I'm going to use. And you very often get these in starter packs, this type of parting tool. I've got it pretty sharp. Let's turn this bit down. So I've turned that right in, just to tidy up this bottom end, make that smooth, so that when it sits in the truck, it's got a nice surface. So I've got a bit of a tenon on here, and I'm just going to dovetail it slightly. So that'll do. So don't forget, this is going to be the top. Okay? It's going to be parted off there eventually. Alright? Slight dovetail. Okay. Let's take this out. And put this in. And as much as I can clamp down on there, it's nice to line it up with the centre that you did have. Yeah, push that in there. Push that in there and then tighten it. That often I tighten up by using both of the chuck holes. There's two of them in there, must be for a reason. So let's use both of them. Alright, now I did say this is too big. So if that's going to be the top of the box, bottom of the box, I don't want it too big, I don't want us hollowing out all night, so I'm going to part it off here. Okay? So bear with me when I do that. And for that, I'm going to use a really good parting tool, which is this one. There's a profile on that. Could go all the way through there, but I don't like when you go through and it flies off. You're between points here, so I'm gonna just undo that slightly, take a little bit of pressure off, and I'm just going to get a saw and chop it off. Much more controlled way of doing it. Can't move. Yeah, I think we're done. So that can be another little box. Alright, keep that to one side. So we're left with this. Now that is going to be the base. So I'm going to tidy that up. And I'm going to put a tenon in. Alright. Now it's held nicely in the chuck. So we don't need the tail. Let's just tidy this up. And I'm just going to use a gouge. This particular one. Let's see what happens to this. Quite fast. That feels alright. Turn it over, and I'm going to use that edge to shape it. Okay, we're going to go in there now, make our tenon. So my preferred one, which is this. About half as wide, if not a third as wide. Okay, that would be enough if your jaws could fit in there and then expand. I'm going to take a bit more. We're going to take all of this out. Well, most of it. Okay, so I'm just going to take this out. Tidy those slips. Okay, so after dancing around a bit, we've got something that's deep enough to be our tenon, easily deep enough. Just tidied up that bottom a bit. This way you can put patterns on or whatever. I often put my little logo in the bottom. What I'm going to do next is we're going to cut in here a little bit to make that dovetail mortise. so that the jaw's got something to grip onto. And of course you could use a few different tools. My tool of choice would be a diamond carbide. That would dig in there nicely. A lot of people would use skew, so you can cut into there. I'm gonna go with well, because I used it before, I'll use that. And all I'm going to try and do is to come in like this at an angle. And I'm just going to tidy that up. Okay. A little bit of pattern work on for people who turn it over and have a look. And we just sand it out. Really quickly. That's 120, here's 240. And this is a little bit teak oil. 400. And 600. Okay. So what I'll do, this is not a showpiece, right? I'm just showing you the order of steps and things. There you go. That's alright. Now that is going to go into there. Don't turn that too much and mark all the wood at the bottom. So this is our top. I'm going to part this off. Okay, I'm going to hold it again to hollow it out, but essentially we're going to part that off just like we did before. Because we're parting off, safety, I'm going to put it between centres so that it's safer to cut that off. It's being held in two places. Just a bit short of this rest. There we go. And that same tool I used before. Now actually, how far down here you decide, you know, what do you want to be the height of the top and so on. I quite like thirds, so 2/3 base, 1/3 top. So I'm going to go here, okay, round about there. Mention is when you put the box together, you want the grain and stuff to match. So you kind of want, you can see the grain come up here, so you want that to match up with that, okay? But because you've got to cut it off here, the gap of that cut, you've lost some grain, so it's not going to perfectly line up. So the narrower that cut you can do, the better. If you could do the whole cut with like a really thin blade like that, then you'd lose the rest. I could have stood there and cut all the way through just with this, and it'd be a better grain match in the end. But I didn't. So we'll crack on. I'm going to take the pressure off here a little bit. Part this off. And there we go. This is the lid which we're going to work on now. So I'm going to turn this around, put it in the chuck. We'll get back to that in a second. Okay, take that out. Put it back in. Remember to add that tenon on. And all what we're going to do to this is cut in and then hollow out a bit, and that'll be the inside of the lid. Okay, cut in, and that will sit on top of the base bit. So again, I'm gonna use black wool. Yeah, I should get some sleep, mate. And here's what you decide where you want this. Now, maximising volume of the box, I could say, well, I'll do it there. But when this is all put back together, you're going to want to match this side with the base. So you're going to want to, you know, cut this off with the base to get it nice and smooth and perfect fit. Now if I cut in too close to that edge, I haven't got much to work with. So I'm going to come to about here. So I've got quite a thick shoulder there, so that I can cut that down when it's on the base and tidy it all up, and I'm not panicking that this is going to be too thin. Okay, so approximately there, alright, which is there. There. Good. Good. Now you want that to go straight in. Quite often people would use the forcing a bit and the drill chuck. I'm going to go inside out. Now I'm going to remove some of that centre.
Slight cuts really. Take your time.
Don't have to.
Get in the way. Stop.
So this is inside the lid, okay? Okay, fine. The other thing I'm going to do, just tidy up this edge slightly. That edge was formed by the parting tool and it might not be perfect. And we'll put some patterns inside there. And again, sand it. If anything, this edge, it would be best if it's not going to, if you can't guarantee it being perfectly flat, if it's sloped inwards just slightly, then you know at least at the edge it would always be touching perfect fit. You don't want a gap, so you don't want this bit to be more raised and further out. Do. So there's our lid. Okay, that is going to sit on top of the base. Where's the base? There's the base. Remember we did that before? Put him back in. So that is going to go on there. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to cut into the edge here so that we're left with this and it'll fit on top. Alright, so we'll keep that handy. And here's where taking your time will serve you well. Now actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that size, but nowhere near as deep yet, nowhere near, just about there. So once I can get it on, I'll know how big to go, and then I can go further down. And you can do it just by eye. You could put your calipers in there, but we're not far. Not far. Now it's gone in, but it's loose, okay? So that is too small. It's not ridiculously loose. Like, you can take the top off easily. You know, there's two schools on this. Some people like these types of boxes where they can, with one hand, reach over, take the lid off, get the thing out that they want, put the lid back. Others like to have a tight fit. So you need two hands to open this box, and you have to decide who's it for and what's it for. Personally, look at that, there's a crack in there. Poor bit of wood. Personally, I like a tighter fit. So I'm going to bring this down, and I'm going to leave it a bit more prouder than that. I think that'll be better. So I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this, I'm going to take that off right across. Remember, it'll only go in that deep. Okay, only go in that deep. I think we're nearly there. That's better. Now there's a bit of, yeah, there's a bit of friction there. Not loads, but enough for that to be a lid. All I did there was bring that shoulder in a little bit. So you get a nice fit between these two halves. And the perfect grain alignment is what had those lines. Do I like it? Not sure if I like it yet. Not sure if I like it yet. Do I want it tighter? Do I want it tighter? And deep down I'm saying yes, I want it tighter. It's a nice little box, it'll turn out to be a nice little box and blah 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 blah. But you don't get that squeak. you know what? Am I gonna leave it? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Okay? But in order to turn this, first of all, I think I might cut slightly into there a little bit more, so that I know that this is flip flush, and then we're gonna have to use some towel to keep this tight, so you can turn the whole lot and take this end off. Right? You can bring the tailstock up, press it, and hold it in there, which I think I will do. Let's see what it's like with a bit of paper towel. So you just put it over and press. And get your trusty mallet. Bring it up. Okay, let's do something with this lid. And we're going to get rid of this tenon. What I'm going to try and do is just curve this round. Pick up the thread. Get it as smooth as you can. Of course, the outside profile is nice and smooth, whatever you want it to be. It's gonna Take that off. You got to bear in mind that it's a spinning piece. Okay, that can fall off. So you try to do as much of the work as you can, pushing in that way. And when you're ready, very carefully, you come in this way. Very carefully. Better. So now, there's our lid. Okay, and we haven't sanded yet at all. And there's our base. Now, how do we get this middle bit out? Well, there's a few things you could do. You get a forceps bit and drill in, or you can just get a gouge and start cutting out, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hand drill. I'm going to drill in a little bit. It'll help us later. And the good thing about this is it'll give us our depth. So we know we've got the mortise in the bottom. You should have measured how far in it is, but nevertheless I'm going to say that I kind of want to drill in with this drill about up to that second line there. Okay, so it's just a hand drill, and we're going to drill in there so far, and that's going to be our depth gauge. But just to help us out, get the drill started, just find the centre here. And that'll give our drill a better chance. One there. Now, how far in do I want to go? Well, I don't really want to go further than that. totally the outside. Be careful. Okay, let's have a look. We are not too bad. Not too bad. I'm going to tidy up the sides because they're horrendous. So I'm going to go down here as smooth as I can. The inside bottom's certainly not perfect, but it'll do. And as for fit, it's a slack lidded box. Okay, I'm going to put the lid back on, but of course I need to get a bit of paper there to hold it on. Right, finish. Let's use a bit of shellac, shall we? Lots of methods of doing this. To make sure the one we choose works. Should put sand and sealer and all that malarkey on, and people get all excited. Okay, what have we got? Well, the top needs to come off. A little bit of this, which is just a shellac mix I make with flakes and boiled linseed oil and alcohol. Okay, Mr. Lid. Let's go, Kenny. There we go. It'll do. It'll do. That's purely because of the friction polish. Okay. So there you go. Approach that you practice and practice and practice. I made loads of mistakes on that one. who's really bothered. Enjoyed ourselves. And a nice little box. Some of you'd love to get that as a present, I'm sure. There's that little box. The bottom in there is not brilliant, but I didn't want to use my carbide. Didn't want to use a box scraper. Just wanted to use what I figured you might have in a starter set. And there's the lid. And this wood does have a couple of imperfections, and it's got a little crack in it there. And that crack might get worse over time, but essentially there's a little box which could sit somewhere. Nice fun project. Far too loose.